Okay.
Hey everybody, this is Dan Kroll. Across from me on the screen here that you can see, this is Jan Rozga. Jan recently wrote and published a book about the tragic death of her son David just about 11 years ago. Jan lives here in Indianola. We go to the same church, so we've gotten to know each other over the years. It's kind of been on my heart recently to share my faith a little bit and then to also help others. And so Jan and I decided to do this little video, kind of an info video to get her book out there and her story and David's story out there to help people also who are out there that have gone through similar things to what the Rozgas have gone through. So great story Jan has to tell in this book of how to deal with grief in a tough situation. So thanks for doing this video with me tonight, Jan.
You bet. Thank you.
You bet. So why'd you write Raw Survival, the name of your book? You can see it on my screen. It's called Raw Survival, a practical guide to living through loss. So as best as you can, tell everyone what kind of got you to write this book and do this project.
Well, kind of some backstory. It was springtime, 2010, and our 18-year-old son, David, was a senior in high school. He was getting ready to graduate that spring. And so we were all on cloud nine at that time. We were scrambling to, do yard work and do all the stuff you do when you have a senior. We had a party. We had friends and family here. We had family photos taken. It was just wonderful. Everybody had such a great time. I had no idea those would be our last family photos with David. A week later, he was with some friends and they smoked a synthetic drug called K2. 90 minutes later, he took his life. So we were really left with a lot of unanswerable questions. We actually didn't find out about the K2 for 2 days after. And the authorities, they were like, we're not sure what this stuff is. We'd never heard about it. We always talk to our kids about, like, you shouldn't drink and drive. You shouldn't drink until you're of age. You shouldn't do this and that. We knew nothing about synthetic drugs. We were told that this was an issue that needed a voice, and we agreed to be that voice while at the same time going on our grief journey. So during that time, Mike, actually, my husband, Mike, talked at schools and churches and with EMS and medical people, just educated them about, synthetic drugs and what they were and the effects they could have on people. David wasn't the only young person who took his life as a result. There were many others as well. So our advocacy really took us from to the Iowa State House to Washington, D.C., when Mike was asked to testify at a couple Senate hearings on synthetic drugs. And so that's kind of the backstory right there.
Yep. And when did it come to you that this book should come to be? How did that come to be?
Well, I never intended on writing a book. I mean, I read books. I don't write them. This was a very odd thing for me because a few months after we lost David, I sat in front of the computer. My hands were shaking horribly. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to write out my feelings, type it out and get it out. I thought it might be therapeutic. I needed an outlet. Besides crying out to God, I needed this outlet. And I had no expectations. I hoped it would help me with my healing. And what began to happen is, as much ranting and raving as there was, and a lot of emotions in the wake of losing David, I found that most of my journal entries would end on a positive note, a godly note, to be exact. It was almost as if I was thinking of these scriptures that I hadn't heard for years. Or maybe I'd heard something in Bible study at different times. And it was like those scriptures were just for me. And they met me right where I was at. And it was extraordinary. And I really felt like God was spoon feeding me, just very lovingly spoon feeding me his promises and encouragement. So that's kind of how it started.
Yep. So, in the book, what encouragements, if someone purchases your book, what encouragements could they find in that book that you shared, who are also struggling with losing a loved one? What are some things that they might find in the book?
Well, I would say really raw survival is for people who have experienced the death of a loved one, no matter how recent. I would also say it would be good for someone who's ministering to someone or caring for someone who's currently experiencing the loss of a loved one. Um, you know, I share a lot with my journey, and how God kind of walked me through everything, and I think it will be relatable to a lot of readers. And I hope that the encouragement will encourage them also. I would say, if I were to pick a few things, if you've experienced the death of a loved one, I mean, you can be in a zombie state for a while, and a grief fog. And, there are times when you just think, I don't know if this is normal. I don't feel right. The world doesn't feel right. And, the world doesn't feel right. It's a huge loss, and you take it very personally. When we lost David, one of the first things that we did immediately was we got counseling within a couple weeks. There's a guy at our church. He has a Christian counseling service, and so we went there. All of us, my husband and my son Daniel and I. Daniel was 15 at the time. That was huge because we didn't know what to do. I mean, we really didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do with our feelings. So that was very, very encouraging. I would definitely tell people to get help and just do it. Just do it. Also, engaging with people in their everyday lives when your life has come to an abrupt stop. It really takes time to kind of engage with others and celebrate their celebrations, when you're still hurting. It's really hard. So I talk about that also. And those are the two things I can just kind of reel off at the top of my head. But
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been reading the book, and one thing that I've noticed is this. For me personally, when I know someone else has experienced something that I'm now going through, just knowing that they've gone through it and gotten through it, and what did they have, what tools did they have or possess or they find that helped them get to it, I think is a huge part of your book. You have prayers, and you have tips and journal entries, and just, I mean, the word raw is in there. You just let it all out. It was just a raw, your emotions were all out there. And I think that's
right,
very helpful for a lot of people
right.
going through loss and grief, just to say, someone else out there has been through it, and here's a way I can get some help there. So yeah, I just want to thank you, Jan, for doing this video. And
Yes.
I'm just hoping that a lot of people in our area and outside of our area of Indianola get their hands on this book, because I think it's going to be a life-changing read for them. Just want to thank you for being so vulnerable, doing this video, writing the book, to help people get through what they're going through, what you've gone through. And like we said, we want to get this book in as many people's hands as we can. So check it out. You can buy the book on Amazon. I'll have a link for the book there through Amazon.com. And if you're in the Des Moines, Indianola area, Page Turners is at 101 East Salem Avenue here in Indianola. They also have a website, pageturnersbookstore.com. And then
Yes.
it's also on christian.book.com and barnesandnoble.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So anything else you want to throw out there, Jan, before we?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's my prayer that it helps people. After I lost David, I really wanted more than just somebody's, this is what happened to me, see you later kind of thing. I really wanted to be equipped in my pain. And I really feel like Raw Survival does that. So yeah, I hope it helps a lot of people. And honestly, that's the whole point of the whole book. So
Yep, definitely. Yep.
yeah.
All right. So go ahead, Raw Survival, A Practical Guide to Living Through Loss. Make sure you hit up Amazon, local bookstore, Christian.book.com, barnesandnoble.com, wherever you buy your books, and hope we get this in your hands and you can help change some lives. So thanks a lot, Jan. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.